This is Sam Vaughn for Sam Sports Report. Clark Hunt and the Chiefs have only had their practice facility for 10 or 15 years, but they say they're outgrowing the facility. And they've already outgrown it. Multi-purpose practice facility, Hunt was asked and stated he wanted today. That would be his goal. And say all options are on the table as far as stadiums. If we went our way to Missouri or Kansas for the practice facilities as well. I think they'll build new no matter what for the practice facilities. A new renovated practice facility at Arrowhead would be just okay too. But that's the route they're going to go for the practice facility. Here's more on that from Clark Hunt.
Yeah, well, we love our training facility, but we've outgrown it. And it's hard to believe, 15, 16 years after it was built, that we've outgrown it. But every NFL team has grown in terms of the number of people, number of players, number of coaches. And long term, that's going to be part of what we have to look at. It would either be a major renovation of our existing training facility or the construction of a new training facility that would help us accommodate not only the size of the organization now, but also where we're likely to grow over the next couple of decades.
Hunt says his goal is to find a place for the future and for the community. When we look at the stadiums we play in, that's the concept we want to be incorporated. Here's more on that.
Neil, you had an opportunity to look at the possibility of covered Arrowhead Stadium, something that could be rolled or could be put on there. And in talking to the people in the architecture firms, they say it's very doable. Is that something you might revisit so that you could make that into more of a multi-purpose facility?
Yeah, well, I would say all options are on the table. And as you know, that was something that we considered 20 years ago when we were working on the renovations that took place starting in 2006. I do think we'll look at it again. I mentioned the possibility of a new stadium also on the Missouri side. And I think if we went that route, certainly we would have to look at a dome. Dome gives you an ability to host a lot of other events, which could be important for the community.
After the Chiefs won 2 in a row, the Chiefs are going to try to go for a 3rd Super Bowl. Clark Hunt says regarding the three-peat, everyone's going to give their best shot because the Chiefs are the defending champ. Hunt says it's definitely to be able to look at a historical run, so he might be lying if he thought the Chiefs are going to win 3 or 4 more after they won their first. It's a very special time for the Kansas City Chiefs. He says you can't look at the past though and look at the future. You'll have a hard time.
Marcus, you said that one of your messages to the team is about the distraction and everything that's going to come with the burden of us trying to win an unprecedented 3rd straight Super Bowl. Is part of that message in relationship to what happened this past offseason, just the amount of distractions, the amount of events that happened off the field as well?
It's nothing specific to this offseason. I just think that we as an organization can feel it. The players, the coaches, everybody in the organization have a lot of people reaching out to them, a lot of people asking about the potential three-peat. And really, to be successful in the National Football League, you've got to focus on the task at hand, which is the next team you're playing. I also mentioned last night that, like last year, every team we play is going to give us their best shot. When you're the defending champion, that game's really important for the teams that you play. They circle it on their calendar as a chance to take out the defending champion. So it was really more just geared towards managing the distractions during the season, focusing on task at hand, making sure you're present each day and give your very best.
We're going to go Dennis and then Sam. We'll come back to you. 1 second. Go ahead. So are you able right now to appreciate as you're starting another camp what this franchise, the run that you guys have been on? And I know you don't want to look too far down the road, but are you able to really sit back and appreciate what's happening?
We definitely are as an organization and as a family. And I think the 50 years between Super Bowls probably laid the foundation for us to have that appreciation. We were thrilled, 5 years ago to make it to Super Bowl 54 and win it, and certainly hope that there would be more in the future. But I might be lying if I told you I thought there'd be 2 more in the next 3 or 4 years. So it's been a very special period. It's not lost on me. But again, if we get too much into thinking about the past and how successful and how good we've been, we're going to have a really hard time being successful going forward.
We'll go lastly with Sam and then Adam. Let's
Couple things, like just your last effort.
John says his goal is to find a place for the future and for the community. When we look at the stadiums we play in, that's the concept we want to be incorporated. Here's more on that.
Well, as I mentioned, our goal is to find a solution that's great for the community. I do think a renovated Arrowhead would be a very good solution, but I also think a new stadium and what that could bring to the community in terms of really big events, I think that could be really valuable. And as we go into this process, we're doing it very much with an open mind and to look at all the possibilities. Obviously, we have the pleasure every year of playing in a lot of great stadiums, some of which have been recently renovated, others are brand new, a lot of dome buildings, and we always use those opportunities to tour those buildings and think about, okay, what can we incorporate, whichever direction we end up going.
Baptist Rasheed Rice, who's had the off-field of problems, has not got in trouble in a car wreck and punching a person earlier this season, but that person has dropped charges. Rasheed Rice says the standard protocol will let the thing play out and they'll let the thing play out, which to me is blasphemy. He is the one driving the car. He's admitted it. That he was running the car. He was racing it in weed in Texas and having a pound of it or whatever is not allowed on Texas. And everything he did was not a good thing. The child was in the car and racing, and two of the cars were owned by Rasheed Rice. He should definitely be suspended for 8 games. If not, then not be in the team. Hunt.
Just wanted to ask you about Rasheed. Are there any conversations with the league about potential suspensions? Give us some insight into how that process.
Yeah, there's nothing going on with the league at this standpoint. Their standard protocol is to let the legal process play out, and then they'll begin their investigation at that point. So I can't really project when we'll have those conversations.
The World Cup and what they have to get ready for the next 2 or 3 years. 2 or 3 years. He mentioned he wants Arrowhead to look the same during the times of the months of the changing of it to the MLS Cup.
Last one, Adam.
The physical preparations of Arrowhead for the World Cup, has that started yet, or what's the schedule there?
Yeah, so we started that process right after this past football season. We did some things that I would describe more as infrastructure that we'll need to support the field. We're in the design phase on what we'll have to ultimately do to the bowl to accommodate the larger soccer field. That construction process will start immediately after the football season next year. It'll go throughout the off season, and then we'll pick it up in the winter, spring of 2026 to complete what needs to be done.
So what the fans will notice for this upcoming season is basically the same stadium as last year.
Yeah, there will be no difference to the stadium from a fan's perspective this year, and our goal as we go through this process is for our fans for Chiefs games to not notice what we've done to the stadium. That's a big part of our effort to make sure that the experience isn't lost for our season ticket holders.
Okay, thanks, guys.
Thank you.
After the Royals lost 2 of 3 to the Cubs, they took the first one, but then dropped the last 2. The Cubs announced that they were selling this week, and so, of course, the Royals lose the series and drop to 500 on the homestand. The Cubs do a little hug with the player that's traded. The Cubs and Rays swapped third baseman Christopher Morel heading to the Tampa Bay Rays in exchange for Isaac Perel. Goes back to Chicago. The Cubs also sending 2 prospects. That was the Cubs deal this weekend. We'll get more into the trades on Tuesday or Wednesday for the Cubs. Now we get to Cardinals baseball. The Cardinals finally take one 4-3 over the Nationals. Hazley gets a win in 9. And a home run by Paul Goldschmidt to give the Cardinals the lead in the win. All in that and more on trade deadline 2 days away. We'll start with the Kansas City Royals. See him on sports.